What's up and welcome to October's monthly build.
Ten ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more?
That's better. Because of the enormous amount of hardware that we have here on the table, I'm sure that you guys have picked up on the fact that this monthly build is just going to be a little bit different than what we normally do here on the channel. In fact, it's going to be a dual system in one box setup using Phantex's new Enthoo Lux 2. I've got that over there. It is way too big to put on this table. It would just block the entire screen. But we got two AMD processors that we're going to be using. So this is going to be an all AMD build, a dual all AMD build. We've got a 3400G and then a 3700X. The 3700X is going to be our gaming system. The 3400G is going to be our capture / streaming system. And we're going to see how that works. Later on in the video, I'm going to play some Modern Warfare 2. We're going to capture it using the 3400G, see how that goes, and show you guys the results. But because we have such a huge amount of stuff here to go through, we're going to do it a little bit differently than we normally do for our monthly builds. Let's get right to that so that we can put everything together and then get right to the gaming / streaming performance evaluation. So we might as well just start at one end of the table and work our way across. We've got both of our motherboards, both from MSI. This is going to be our streaming and capture system built in MSI's B450i Gaming Plus AC. B450 has proven itself to be a surprisingly capable budget platform to build with, and this is one of the better boards out there, especially for mini ITX. It's going to house our 3400G very nicely. And then we have MSI's Meg X570 Ace. This obviously is going to be for our main gaming system. When I did my X570 motherboard roundup, I was really impressed by a lot of the features that this board has. It's got really nice connectivity on the back, 8 USB ports. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got the capability to handle 3 M.2 drives. It looks pretty cool too. Power delivery is on point. So this is a great board for any high-end build, and it'll be absolutely perfect for our 3700X. Next up, let's talk memory. We've got two kits of memory here. This one is going to be for our gaming and streaming system. It's Thermaltake's new Tough RAM. This is a 3600 megahertz kit. I haven't yet tested this with AMD to verify that this is going to run at rated speeds. However, Thermaltake said in their email to me that that's what this was designed for. So hopefully we have no issues running this at 3600. That should be way fast enough for what we need. And then we have Corsair kit. This is their Vengeance Rgb Pro. This is the black edition. They also do this in white, but this is a 4x8 gig kit, 3200 megahertz. My biggest concern with this is going to be the height of the DIMMs, because of the cooler that I've chosen to use for the gaming system. But I've used this memory before. It's excellent with AMD and shouldn't have any issues there as long as it fits. For power, Phantex sent over their Revolt X1200. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the Revolt series of power supplies, this is really all you need to know. Because Phantex makes several cases, including the Evolve X and the Lux 2, that support multiple builds in one box, they decided to also provide a power solution for that kind of a setup, and that's what the Revolt systems are, the Revolt power supplies are good for. They're 80+ platinum efficient, plus they have dual 24 pins, enough EPS 8 pins, enough PCIe power to fully power up two full systems in one box, and you don't have to worry about using two power supplies, which is always kind of a nightmare. So thank you very much to Phantex for sending this over. It's going to be perfect for this build. Now let's talk about our processors. This might be the most controversial choice for our streaming and capture box, and I'm more curious to see how well it handles it than anything else. One of the reasons that I decided to go with this over something maybe a little more powerful is because I wanted a Ryzen processor that also has built-in graphics. Now, the reason that this is important is because our motherboard only has one PCIe slot, which means that if we want to utilize that PCIe slot for a capture card, we can't use a graphics card. So we need something that already has built-in graphics, or an iGPU. Now, while the 3400G is actually not 3rd gen Ryzen, this is actually built on 2nd gen Ryzen. So this is not Zen 2, this is Zen Plus. It still should be plenty powerful for what we need it for, and like I said, we're going to test it out later, so hopefully we don't run into any snags, but I'm pretty sure that this should do a really good job capturing our footage and streaming it out as necessary. And there she is, the 3400G. But our other processor that we're going to use is the Ryzen 7 3700X. 8 cores, 12 threads, you know the deal already. We reviewed this one on the channel a couple months back. This is, in fact, Zen 2 3rd gen Ryzen. There she is in the little plastic clamshell. And this should be a really good choice for our gaming system inside the X570 Ace. To be honest, storage I'm always a little torn about because, like I said in I think the last video that I did, storage is so customizable and so easy to change based on your needs that it's really hard for me to specifically recommend something because I don't know what you want to build your system for. We're going to be using two M.2 SSDs for this system. It's just a lot easier than using 2.5-inch drives at this point. And these will be able to store everything that we need to do our testing today. First up is an SSD from Team Group. I forget the capacity of this. I think per that number there, this might just be a 256 gig drive. If you're going to be building a capture system where you want to store some footage, obviously you're going to want something a little bit more than that. But for our initial testing purposes, this should be fine. Basically, all I'm going to put on the capture drive is going to be Windows and OBS. So that should do just fine. I don't really have a problem with that. Again, you know, storage is so customizable. Choose what fits your needs. And then we've got an Intel SSD. This is their 660p, the 2 terabyte version. These are not the fastest NVMe drives. They still are plenty fast, and they are more than enough for most people. And I definitely recommend them because they're cheap. Like, SSD prices are coming way down anyway, but these are incredibly inexpensive and fairly efficient for what they do. Like I said, you could get faster. You could, I guess, get more reliable in the long term, but these are still pretty good. Graphics card time. We only got one of them because, like I said, we are going to be using the integrated graphics on our 3400G for our capture system, but this is going to be our gaming GPU. This is XFX's RAW 2 5700 XT. I really like this when I did the review. I know that XFX has probably caught some flack in the community for the thick versions of this card because they cost more and maybe they're not as efficient. But this one is actually pretty good. I really liked it when I did the testing on it. 5700 XT is going to be great for 1440p gaming. Struggles a little bit in 4K, but we're not going to be pushing in that high of a resolution with this build, and I am excited to build with this because I have not done so before. For cooling, we're going to be using a couple Cooler Master products here. This is their SF360R. This is their 3-in-1. So we get 3 fans, 3 RGB setups with 1 PWM cable and one RGB cable. So instead of having 2 cables coming from each fan, you only have 2 cables total for this entire thing. This is a really great idea by Cooler Master. I've used this probably a couple times before, and it does a great job. We'll probably set this up as intake in the front, and then we need some exhaust on the top, and for that we're going to be using the SF120s. Now, Cooler Master does not make a 360 version of the SF120p. They make a 240 version, and then they make a 120 version. So we're just going to combo these, I don't know, like that, so that we have 360 millimeters of exhaust. That'll probably go on the top of the case because these are probably going to be a little more visible than this is, and it's got the cool addressable RGB strip along the edge. And then this is what I was talking about before with the memory height and my concerns over clearance. Per spec, this should work, but that might mean that I need to move the fans up and down a little bit to compensate for the extra height under the cooler for the memory. But this is Deepcool's Assassin 3. This thing is an absolute monster when it comes to, you know, the biggest, most powerful air coolers out there. This thing is supposed to compete with the Noctua NHD15. I think it performs slightly worse, but still going to be plenty for our Ryzen chip, which is not really that power hungry. And it looks pretty cool too with the black top plates and the silver towers and whatnot. So Deepcool Assassin 3, and I think, no, that's almost it. Still got our capture card, which is not on this table. Hold on, let me go get it. This is the last piece of the puzzle. This is the new Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card. And not only have they added HDR functionality to it, but they've also made it significantly smaller. You can see that it's actually a half height card now. So you could fit it in a lot of situations and systems that you couldn't before, and it's going to be a lot better for our mini ITX build. I think it's also shorter. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I have the full-size version of this in my main system, and it's been great. And this provides a little bit extra functionality and is also much smaller. So that's it. That's the last piece that we got to look at. Indy is right here. He's waiting for this build. So let's put it together. So here's the end result of all of our work today. We've got two different systems running inside of one box, one running OBS, capturing the footage from the gameplay system. We've got one set of peripherals set up to control them both through the Share Mouse software, and we've got everything running on our single box, two systems in here. We've got the gaming system up top. Obviously, there's a lot of glare, you can't really see it, and then the capture system down below. Let's take a look at what kind of performance we can get capturing on just a fairly low-powered CPU, the 3400G. But we do have the Vega graphics built in, so that is definitely going to help us. We're going to be able to use hardware encoding when we're using OBS. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play a little bit, and then we're going to review the footage that I was able to capture off of this setup. All right, just going to do a quick settings check here. We can see that we're routing the display through the 4K 60. We're playing at 2560 by 1440. All the settings are basically on high or ultra. So, you know, 5700 XT is not the most powerful GPU that you could get. Obviously, NVIDIA makes a couple more powerful ones, but for 1440 gameplay, 5700 XT is going to be an absolutely great choice. And we see the frame rates in the upper left-hand corner. Right now sitting in between 80 and 100 basically, and as we move through the forest you'll see that it dips down a little bit, but we're well above the 60 FPS range with everything basically running at extremely high settings. Graphical fidelity of this game is amazing. You know, give Call of Duty whatever flack you might want for whatever problems they might have. Their servers were just, I don't know, completely inundated on launch day, but the games themselves look beautiful, and this is a great example of that. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We're going to get into a firefight situation inside the rail yard, which is the next scene here, and we can see how the frame rate's going to fluctuate just a little bit, but still is going to maintain to a place where you're going to be really happy with your gameplay. So now we're in a firefight. We're here in the rail yard. There's a bunch of bad guys around. We're trying not to die, basically. But the frame rate has actually gone up from when we were in the forest. Maybe there's less draw distance, or maybe less detail. Maybe it was having trouble rendering all the trees and stuff like that. I don't know. But we look at the frame rates, we're above 100, and we're sitting above 100 pretty comfortably, up into the 120s at times. And again, this game just looks gorgeous. The 5700 XT and the 3700X are doing a beautiful job of putting together some really amazing gameplay. I mean, I videoed myself playing for a while, and I recorded it. And, you know, this is what you're watching. But even after I shut off the recording, I just kept playing, because not only is it an entertaining game, but it just ran so smoothly and was such a great experience. So I'm definitely really happy with the way this came out. This capture footage is straight out of the system we just built. So, I mean, this is what you could potentially expect if you go with a system like this. You don't necessarily need a super high-end CPU to do the capturing, now that the lower-end CPUs have 6 cores and 12 threads. That's more than we had just a couple of years ago on the Intel high-end with 4 and 8 cores, which is used to be what people thought was high-end and necessary for something like this, for some kind of utility like capturing some high CPU intensive task. But the Vega graphics obviously are helping. As we mentioned before, we have hardware encoding on, so we're not necessarily relying 100% on the CPU cores. The GPU, the iGPU definitely helps as well. So let's wrap this video up. Yeah, this one was a lot of fun. So that's about it for this video, guys. This system was really kind of a dream to build. I've never put two systems in one box before, and to be honest, the execution of the Lux 2 along with the Revolt X power supply, the engineering that went into this case, the layout of it, how they make things so easy to put the two systems in this one box, plenty of cable management room. I have so much extra room, like along here, right up front, next to the big system's motherboard, that You could put a full custom loop in here. You could put 2 custom loops in here for both systems. It would be absolutely no problem. And the case is, it's not huge. Like, it's certainly big, but I've worked with bigger, and Fantex has just done an amazing job with this, and it has enabled me to play Call of Duty for you guys, which I like. So I'm going to keep doing that because we've got more Call of Duty to play. It's very important. It's for science. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Get subscribed if you're not already. Check out the merchandise store for cool hoodies like this that you can't really even see right now. And I'll see you guys in the next video.